So anyway, I'm Jackson Brown. I represent an organization called Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. I am not a mom. I'm obviously a dad, but we don't discriminate based on race, creed, or sex. I do want to talk about the most recent tragedy. Obviously, it's weighing on everybody's mind. I was talking to a gun violence survivor today, and they called me and they were pretty hysterical. Well, I wouldn't say hysterical, but they were crying. And then I realized to myself that there's really nothing that I could say to essentially wish away their pain. Every time there's a mass shooting, people relive some of the horror that they've encountered. But then I realized that there really is something that I can do about it, and the truth is there's something everybody can do about it. I read the headline. It said, "The deadliest mass shooting in US history." And I thought to myself that that's the wrong title for it. It's really the deadliest mass shooting in US history again. Because honestly, we went through this whole thing last year when the Orlando tragedy happened. We went through it several years before that. If we actually look at the statistics, the top 10 deadliest mass shootings in US history, a majority of those only happened in the last 10 years. Another sobering statistic, in the last 10 years, mass shootings have actually increased by 6 times. Another sobering statistic, when we look at actual gun violence and we take the gun violence pie, so to speak, mass shootings only account for roughly 4% of the gun-related deaths in this country. We're talking about, latest figures, we're talking about 36,000 a year. And to put this in perspective, if we look at gun violence, more people have died from gun violence since the 1960s than all US wars combined. So, what is Congress actually going to do about it? Can I see a round of hands? Who thinks Congress is going to do nothing about gun violence? That's a lot of hands. You're partially right. The truth is Congress might actually do something much, much worse. There's actually 2 very dangerous bills that are going through Congress right now. One just made it out of committee. It's called the SHARE Act. SHARE Act, SHARE. Essentially, what they're attempting to do is essentially to deregulate firearm silencers. And when you deregulate firearm silencers, the potential is greater for them to fall into the wrong hands. And if they fall into the wrong hands and they fall into the hands of a mass shooter, the casualties will be enormous. Because honestly, shots fired is a safety measure. Because as soon as you hear the shots fired, that alerts people who are being shot at to take cover. It allows law enforcement enough time to react. So that's the current state of affairs. It's not all doom and gloom, but it's pretty bad. So the bottom line is, what can you do to actually end this epidemic? The honest answer is a lot. Everybody in here, as a collective, honestly, is more powerful than the NRA, because the bottom line is that you vote. And I would say, if you're going to vote please, whatever you do, only support the candidates that support common sense gun measures. It's not so hard in Massachusetts. It's a little bit more difficult in Georgia or Alabama, but in Massachusetts, it's not so bad. But just be sure who you're voting for. And even if they have, you think it's safe because they're a Democrat, keep in mind 10% of Democrats wouldn't vote for background checks in Congress. So just be 100% sure, ask the questions, ask the candidates. If you want to get involved with Moms Demand Action, I certainly welcome you to. There's many ways you can get involved. One, you can text ACT, A-C-T, to 64433. Again, that's ACT to 64433. Or you can go on the website, momsdemandaction.org, and you can certainly sign up there. But if there's one thing that you leave here tonight is, honestly, support the candidates that support common sense gun laws. Thank you.